I'm backing up my truck, I'm gonna hook it up, loading up my boat with all my gear. I've been working hard all week, trying to make ends meet, spending time wishing I was fishing. Well, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing. Gather up your gear and come along. Well, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Join Karen Cullum, Greg Plaggio, and me as we take you to some of our favorite fishing spots from Colorado to Minnesota, the Arctic Circle to Central America and beyond, as we revisit episodes of Mountain States Fishing and Angling Adventures Television on the best of fishing with Terry Wickstrom. Hey, thanks for joining us today. You know, in our 22 seasons of television, we've taken you from the Arctic Circle to the equator and across the four corners of North America. But today we're going to take you on an adventure that's really right in my backyard, or just a couple miles from my house, the Poudre River right here in Colorado. In fact, our guide that'll be joining us today, Jim Ferguson, actually lives right on the banks of this river, so it really truly is our backyard. The Poudre River used to be a really good brown and rainbow trout fishery, and years ago a whirling disease decimated the rainbows. The browns just came on. It's phenomenal. I'm glad to say the rainbows are resurging and coming back, and there's still starting to be some very nice rainbows in the river too, but the brown fishing is phenomenal. This is a free-running stream with famous for rafting with a lot of flow changes, but over 40 miles of public access, starting out a little over 5,000 feet where I live, going all the way up to the top of Cameron Pass to maybe 11,000 feet it starts, and along 40 miles of public access, and then it takes off and becomes part of the Platte River drainage. But it's still phenomenal fly fishing destination, whether you want to go with a guide or come up and fish it yourself. It's just a tremendous trout fishing destination. So join guide Jim Ferguson and myself as we fish the Poudre River right here in Colorado.
And even though the road goes right by the river, once you're down in the river fishing, you don't really notice the road or pay too much attention. Occasionally you'll hear a car go by.
Well, what I really, when we were driving up, you talked about how many miles of public access are there here?
I think there's about 47 miles, I believe, that you can access directly off of Highway 14. So actually highway access. And another 16 or 17 hike-in on the main stem.
Well, and that's what makes it so attractive, because there's so many places where there's river access from the road, but it's private land. Here, the average guy can drive up whether he wants to be guided or just get out for a couple hours and cast and take advantage of the river.
That's right, and so few rivers are like that nowadays. And in Colorado, the property owner's rights include the stream bed, so there's not the
yeah, it's not like some of the other states where you can wade through. But this ends up, is it national forest land? Is that what
national
it is?
forest, and a couple of one stretch we're at the hatchery up above that's administered by the Division of Wildlife, but mostly Forest Service. Catch there right at the end of the drift.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Wasn't paying any attention.
Neither was I.
Way to go. Can you land it? You need me to go? Nice one.
It's a little brownie, isn't it?
Nice brown. All right, there we go.
It's a fish, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's a nice brown. Look at the beautiful colors on that. I'll let you show that to the camera. Poudre River brown. I tell you, those browns are just so beautiful. I love the colors on them.
You have to work hard for them here on the Poudre.
Well, it's been a tough day today, but I think we're just getting started. More to come.
Thank you, little fish.
Boy, and these rocks, it's tough. I'll tell you. Oh,
nice brown trout, huh?
Is it a brown or a rainbow? I think it's a rainbow.
Good news.
Rainbow. We've been brown fishing. We've got some browns. They don't go in those rocks. Oh, look at it jump. Nice
very
rainbow.
Nice fish.
Nice rainbow. And I can't move in these rocks to land them, so I'm going to have to... Oh, you got net current. Come on this way. I have to horse him a little. Got him.
Got him?
Can you get him there?
If you'd like, I can use your net, or
See, as long as we can get him,
be safe.
it'll stretch. Nice rainbow.
Now that's a nice Poudre River rainbow. You don't see them much larger than that.
That's a beautiful.
In the stretch of the
that's
river.
a beautiful fish. I'm gonna get it in the water, get my hands wet so we can show the camera. Let me get the fish down here for a second. We want to dry fly fish today, and we want to fish for browns, but we'll take whatever comes along. We're in some stretches where they weren't coming up. We thought, let's put some nymphs on, let's run them through, and this beautiful, beautiful rainbow. This is just a beautiful rainbow, folks. Let me get the hook out of them.
Give you some slack here.
That's a beautiful rainbow, isn't it?
It's as nice a fish as you'd expect to catch in the Poudre River. And that's a very wild looking holdover kind of a fish. That's not a stock looking fish, recently anyway.
No, that's a very, very beautiful, beautiful rainbow trout. Poudre River, just a few miles out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Beautiful fish. Watch him for a second, make sure he looks good. Doesn't know he's free yet. There he is.
Beautiful fish in a beautiful spot.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Just awesome. We're fishing the Poudre. It's September. Poudre used to have a great population of rainbows. There's a little bit of supplemental stocking that goes on here yet, but whirling disease took a lot of the rainbows out, but they're coming back. And this was this wasn't a recently stocked, it's possibly even a totally wild rainbow. Just a beautiful fish, but we're really concentrating on the browns. And you know, one of the things about the Poudre is a lot of people have quit fishing it because rainbows are easier to catch than browns, supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah.
And so people have to adjust their tactics. Now we're really trying for brown trout on dry flies today, but you know, it gets a little tough. We've got two rods rigged, one with the dry fly, one with nymphs, and we're working different areas. And you know, you want to be successful fishing, you know, you've got to be a little versatile and take what nature gives you.
That's right.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you what, that was a beautiful rainbow.
It's a good start.
Let's just see if we can get a few more.
All right.
And that's the neat thing about Colorado. You know, whether a great river like the Poudre that has so much public access, even the Big Thompson has quite a bit of public access.
It does.
So we're fortunate right here on the Front Range to have such great public access. But places like North Michigan Reservoir with North Michigan River, Creek or whatever, coming in and out, a small river full of beaver ponds. You don't need a lot of expertise to fish it, but still a lot of, you know, there's lots of that kind of public access in Colorado. You can just have a blast fishing it. A Rocky Mountain National Park.
And we're very close to some fabulous fishing in Wyoming.
Oh, in the West, we're just really fortunate. Our fly fishing in the West is just tremendous. Brown trout through that seam. Just what we're doing is we're working up to a pool, but we didn't want to go by this pocket water. He's throwing a dry with a dropper. I'm throwing just a nymph rig and hooked up a nice little brown in this pocket water. See if I can get him and show him to you. There we go. Let me get colors on these brown trout are just fantastic. Get this fly out of the way there. Took a little Prince nymph down on the bottom. I want to show you how beautiful the red spots are on this fish. I just don't want to handle them too much. You know, just nice fish, fun to catch, beautiful setting. Whether you're catching them on dries or nymphs, there's something special about brown trout fishing, the allure of it and the colors of the fish, and there he goes. But Poudre River brown trout, thank you, Jim. It's just, and some of this water is, let me show you real quick what I was doing here. Give you an idea so you'll kind of have an idea if you want to come up and fish this yourself. You know, if you really want to come learn this river, the best thing to do is the first time you fish is come up with a guide like Jim and set up a trip and have them teach you the river. But when you come to these kind of rivers, you'll notice we've got short little runs here where you've got to almost fish just a few feet at a time. So what we're doing, and say we're not getting very long drifts. I'm just casting real short line. That's why I'm fishing upstream, so that I can sneak up on the fish, because I can't get much line out. There's just too many different currents, and the line, it'll just take off and I won't get a good drift. So I fish maybe a 5 or 6 foot area, drift it with the line high. As soon as it starts to take off, I just kind of flip it out and flip it over and then right in between the rocks. And got another fish on right there. Just like that. It's just going through that little spot, just like that. Just like I was showing you, little tiny things. Another brown. Come on. Oh, there we go, another one. Well, I want to sit in the same spot and we'll show you this one. People weren't watching, they think we got the same fish twice. It's almost a twin to the one too. A little bit smaller than the last one. Not quite as many bright red spots, but I haven't moved 1.5 feet from where I'm fishing, and I'm sure there's more and more fish. Let's get back in this water. The point I was trying to make is there's little pools in here. Now if I was fishing a dry fly here, I'd probably work it through each of these rifts a few times. Didn't get something to come up, I'd either change flies or move. Working a nymph through here though, because there's such irregular rocks down in this pool, they get everything tangled, my net, we'll get that out in a second, that I can cast the nymph to the same, almost the same spot, but it may drift just on the other side of one of those low rocks. And these fish aren't going to see that and come out of that feeding lane, and so it pays to really work this area over. I probably made 10 or 15 casts before I caught the first fish, and then 2 casts later I caught the second fish, almost in the same spot, but it probably drifted off just a little bit. So remember, work that nymph through different areas, but that dry fly you may want to move and work a little more. Think I could fish it better from up there? Or?
Maybe, but that's not a bad, that was a good idea to throw a few in from there though. Whoa,
fish on. Oh, nice brown.
Brownie.
And he's down on the down current side of me. Oh. Crawling around this rock. I was actually going to go around and fish this seam from the other side, and I hung up on a rock. So since I walked down here to get off a stick, since I walked down to get the line off the stick, I decided to fish it from this side and hooked into a real nice brown.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Getting some fall color on him, and
well, I tell you, beautiful looking fish. It's been just fantastic.
There's nothing I enjoy more than sharing the river with people.
All right. Is this a typical brown in this river?
Yeah, I would say typical. About average size. We expect to get fish up to about 14 inches, browns.
I tell you, in the fall when they get those red colors, aren't they? Brown trout fishing, Poudre River. Let's get this back in the water. So this, you know, whoops, I was going to revive him more than that, but
he didn't need it, did he?
He didn't need it. That's a typical fish. And you know, on a bad day, you don't catch any. On a good day, what would you say? What's a good day? How many fish like that here?
Well, now that the river's mostly brown trout, a 10 or 12 fish a day would be common for a lot of people here on the river.
Yeah.
These are all wild fish. They've not been stocked brown trout since the 40s, so they typically come a little slower than the stocked rainbows would.
You got to work a little harder for them. You know, that's part of the allure of fishing for brown trout.
I agree.
There's just a satisfaction in catching them that's...
I would rather catch a handful of those wild fish than 30 stalkers. You know, that's just how I feel about it.
And there's something about the mystique that knowing that fish was born in this river.
And somehow survived through.
And he's been there and he's growing, and you found a way to fool him. You know, and then let him go and return him back to this river so the next guy through can catch him.
That's what fly fishing is about, I think.
How long you been guiding on this river?
Well, about 15 years now.
That's all, huh?
And fishing it for about 35.
So 35 years of fishing it, so you won't find a better guide or somebody to put you more into the fish on this river. You've shown me some great spots already, and I'm looking forward to catching a few more.
I think there's a few more left.
Let's go see what we can do.
All right.
All right. Oh, you know, this is where most people will lose even a small fish, even especially a big fish though. What's their first instinct? They try to get it on the reel.
Yeah.
And you know what? If the fish wants to be on the reel, it'll get itself on the reel.
Boy, that's true, isn't it?
And
a lot
so
of bad
often
things can happen.
they're so concerned about getting the fish on the reel that they don't keep the line tight. Okay. That's a little smaller than the average brown here.
A little small, but
still beautiful fish. And I mean, wild brown trout in the Poudre River. Just outside of Fort Collins. I'll tell you what, if you live in the Mountain States region, it's a great place to get up and fish. I'll let you hook that up, and I got a feeling we might get another one out of it.
All right.
You know, we're winding down our day here, Jim, but it's been a lot of fun. You know, that last, got 2 little browns in this area, or had one on in the last one, but I was just letting it swing, and you were about to say let it swing, and I think that's do you think it just swings and it's coming up, or do you think the fish follow it when they take it on a swing like that?
You know, I'm not sure I have it figured out, but we're so ingrained to do the dead drift that I think sometimes it just pays to experiment once in a while with letting the fly swing a little at the end.
You know, I've heard both schools of thought. I've heard that they're following, or it's just an erratic action. I've also heard that when it swings, it looks like a nymph that's swimming down the river, and then it starts to rise and it looks like an emerger.
An emerging insect. Well, that makes some sense too, huh?
You know, so not sure which it is, you know, but it works. And you're right, we get so hung up on having to have a dead drift, sometimes we get way too quick to pick that fly line up.
There's a fish. Oh. Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe a rock, maybe a fish. Since I didn't get a hook in it, we're going to call it a rock.
Yeah. But there's a lot of caddis in the river, and they're quite active when they ascend up through the water column, so...
Same spot. Must be a rock there that we're getting some undertow. You're right, and you know, at the end of that drift, when the line starts to go tight, it's just a natural lifting of the current lifting that. It's got to look a lot like an emerging insect. But over the years of fishing, I found that erratic action can sometimes be the best trigger of anything. You know, I know we're trying to dead drift a fly and make it look as natural as possible, but sometimes when something just looks real natural and the fish is looking at it and all of a sudden it makes an unusual move, it just seems to trigger some kind of an instinct.
It does. It seems to almost force the fish into a decision at that point, if it is watching it. We certainly do that with a dry fly to simulate the ovipositing caddis when they return to the water, so why not with a nymph?
Exactly. So Poudre, your favorite river?
All things considered, I'd have to say yes, because it's my home river, and it's given me so many days of pleasure for so many years. I'd have to say yes to that.
All right. If you want to fish just for contemplative reasons of enjoying the outdoors,
reconnecting with nature for a short time, I think that's very valuable.
Well, I think one of the things that you got to remember about fishing too is that the fish are the bonus. Enjoying the outdoors in a beautiful place like Colorado, in the Poudre Valley. Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
You didn't like the look of us, I don't believe.
No, I think, well, probably you. He certainly couldn't have not liked my looks. I'm a big television star.
It had to be me.
Yeah, well.
He's probably seen me before, you know.
That's right. We're on your home water. Here's, see if we can get him this time. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to get this one on hook. There looks like some nasty weather moving in here. We had to get off the water once already. What a way to end a beautiful day.
Nice wild brown trout.
Oh, just perfect. I'm going to get my hands wet and hold that. I'll tell you what, folks, wild brown trout, Poudre River, beautiful fall colors. It doesn't get a whole lot better than this. Jim, thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Always a pleasure.
Thank you to you and Gordon for setting this up. And folks, if you get a chance, Poudre River is right here in the Mountain States in your backyard. Get out and fish it. Hire a guide. You'll enjoy it more. Join us next week on Mountain States Fishing.